This is my attempt at a herringbone wall. I found the center point of the wall, put the top corner of the top board at the center, 45-degree angle at the bottom, came back with the bottom board, put the bottom corner of the bottom board at the center line, 45-degree angle at the bottom. And we're going to start overlapping and see how this works out. I should mention that I'm using cedar boards. They're 1x4s that were left over from another project that we did. So I'm just taking and cutting a 45-degree angle on one end, and then I'm bringing it in here and I'm marking at the top corner of the top board where this one will overlap. Then that should give me my measurements for all other boards that will be going on the right side. We'll come back in a second and see if that's true. Alright, you can see I've made the cut for the second board on the right side. Now that length will work all the way up and down on the right side until we have to start filling in on the bottom, and then on the top we'll have to make different cuts. I've got the board laid on the left side now, where I can get my measurement for it at the top corner of the board on the right. You can see there, I'll be getting my mark off of there, and then everything on the left side should be the same length. Alright, so now I've got my mark boards. I've got the mark board for the right and the one for the left. So from this point until we run out of wall, and we'll show you that when we get there, from here on, all my boards on the left should be the same length, and all my boards on the right should be the same length, whether I'm over or under where we started. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so we've cut all of our boards now as far as we can the one way. So on the end here, you'll see that they're just a straight cut across. And then on the back end, right in here, you see these are all cut at 45-degree angles. So you can only go so far with that until you have to stop, either way, top or bottom. And then you have to start cutting a 45 on each side. So this board, which is not attached just yet, is 45-degree cut at the top and a 45-degree cut at the bottom. And each board after this will be its own separate length. You'll have to measure every board until you get all the way up at the corner. Alright, so a little trick here. When you're in the top corners and you're having to do 45-degree angles on both ends coming in, you've got a long side and a short side. So the long side of the board, of course, up here, short side of the board down here. When you get up in those corners, you take your first measurement, which will be my board here. The next one is going to continue to just come in this way. So you take your top board and you mark your next board like here, and you cut your 45 degrees this way, and that will be your next board. So you don't have to actually measure, if that makes sense. Just a little trick, a little tip, and you'll see in just a few minutes. Okay, so here's the little tip I was talking about. I just took this top board and I used it to measure this board, and use that one to measure this board, and then the next one to measure this board. And I've got my corner, which is going to be put up in just a minute. This way, you actually get to cut all of your boards instead of just doing one at a time. And you can take them all in and put them up. Alright, so my top corners are done. Just 45-degree angles on both ends, all the way up to the corner. And you can see where it fit. It worked itself out perfect right up under the molding. Then I've got to go here. On this bottom end, the 45-degree angles are going to take a turn. Instead of the 45 being here, we're going to have to cut the 45 this way. Then on this end, it'll stay the same, like a flat end, no angles, just a flat cut all the way down until we get into the middle, and we'll come back on that spot. Alright, so you can see here where we started changing the angle. The 45 is kind of going the other way. And you just have to come up and measure and be aware of your pattern. And don't get those crossed up. And just stay, you have to measure each board just to make sure you get it right. No really little tricks on this. Just kind of show you what's going on. Now here's the finished product. We took a little natural Danish oil and just went over it. Now this is cedar wood. I think I said that in the first video. And we just kept our pattern, kept our angles, went over it with the Danish oil, really brought out the knots and the pattern in the wood. And that's the finished product.